Okay, it's working. Sweet. Thank you. Thank you, Incoherent Turd. Appreciate it. Okay, I think the mic wasn't working earlier when I was doing the intro, but let me just recap the show. I won't do the music intro again because no point. So today we're going to be laughing at Dan Andrews getting rejected from multiple golf clubs. I think it's kind of funny and deserved. And we're also going to discuss the question if the boomers are a selfish generation. We've also got a clip from Gerard Rennick where he is questioning AHPRA, the Australian health body, and how they allegedly prevented doctors from highlighting the risks of the you-know-what. We've also got a bunch of fresh memes to laugh at. So, all right, first meme that we're going to look at. Let me see if I can get this up. I think it was a Twitter video. Sorry, give me 1 sec. I'm so rusty. Okay, I've got the clip up.
It's doing pretty good.
It's better than any of your videos, yeah, that's for sure. I mean, wait, what is the biggest YouTube video you ever dropped? Was it Vape Nation?
Yeah.
Back when you were like still kind of culturally relevant?
Yeah.
Well, it was cool because you used to make stuff, and now you just critique stuff, and there's a big difference between people like me and people like you.
Yeah.
What happened?
Yeah,
I think everyone that's your fan wants to know, where did it all go wrong?
I think people are pretty happy.
I don't think so. I think a lot of people, I mean, if you look at the cultural relevance and contributions, I mean, you were contributing, and now you're just kind of coming after people. You're like a leech.
Yeah.
I'm so
Well, here's where it is.
Was it the money, or was it the fame? Funny if you just answered the question.
What do you want me to say? What do you want
I want
me to
you to tell me why you stopped making things.
Oh, yeah, so... Okay, well, first of all, let me remind you, this is my fucking show.
Yeah, well, it sucks.
It's doing pretty good.
It's better than any of your videos, yeah, that's for sure.
This guy, I don't know who his guest is, but dude freaking flamed him on his own podcast. Oh, so funny. So funny. Oh, I just couldn't stop laughing at that clip. Okay, I think there was a bit of an echo. Let me just hang on.
I mean, wait.
Yeah, there's like dual outputs here.
What is the biggest?
Yeah, that works. Yeah, holy crap! Imagine getting roasted by this guy with a bowl cut fringe on your own show. I mean, like, I don't like Ethan Klein, so it's kind of deserved after what he did. But damn. Imagine you invite a guest and he freaking roasts you like that. So good. Okay, let me just swap over to Instagram. Okay, so the next one is a man and his plunger. It's a little bit further back, so I gotta find it. Give me 1 sec. Ah, there we go. Hang on 1 sec. Technical difficulties. Why is it not opening the right window? Ah, snap. Should not have shown that. This is so bad. I'm gonna have to change my stream key. Ay, caramba. Okay, that's really weird. My setup is all mixed up. There was an update, okay? I'm not just retarded. I mean, I am kind of retarded, but there was an update. That's why this is happening. And it's not showing the right screen. Okay, I fixed it. Sorry. What a crap stream. Okay, I'm just gonna double check the audio as well to make sure there's no echo. retarded like him. This guy's retarded too, okay? Look at him. He's just gonna walk out of the store with half a plunger on his head. Oh, so funny. Okay. So then the next clip that I liked was this guy got tired of shopping with his wife, so he started chimping out. It's so good.
When bro tired of shopping with his wife.
It's so good. It's so realistic.
When bro tired of shopping with his wife.
Freaking nuts. Okay. That was a good laugh. I love those memes. They're so funny. Okay, let me get our first story up. So, you can hear it turn great Dindu impression. Oh gosh, so funny. Okay, oh man, it's really warm in here. I've got the story about Dan Andrews. So Dan Andrews was the Victorian Premier in Australia, Victoria, Australia, and he was one of the most tyrannical equivalent of a state governor. One of the most tyrannical premiers that we had during the lockdowns and COVID and stuff like that. And he would have these daily press conferences and he'd just say crazy things and just, he was a total butthole. And anybody who ever like questioned him, just his reactions were just really, really evil. Yeah, so I've got the article up here. So apparently he attempted to join Portsea Golf Club in Melbourne. So it's like an elite golf club that you have to get in through, I think, through like your connections, basically. So one of his friends, Dan Andrews' friends, Max Beck, apparently made like a subtle suggestion to Portsea Golf Club power brokers to ask if Dan Andrews could join that golf club. And basically, they said his chances of joining were non-existent, according to this article. And earlier suggestions said that he won't even have the opportunity to make a membership application. So this guy here is Dan Andrews. And they said that there's a lot of anger remaining on the Mornington Peninsula over Dan Andrews' metropolitan lockdowns during the COVID pandemic. Because that area, the Mornington Peninsula, is over 70 kilometers away from Melbourne CBD, the city. So, no, they have not forgiven him, said former professional golfer Mark Allen. Oh, man. So here he is with, on his golf cart. And so that famous golfer said, they have not forgiven him, and I can tell you this. On Friday night at the Sorrento Hotel, which was like a local hotel where a lot of the golfers go to, it was the talk of the region, and to the point where not only members from Portsea, that club he applied for, but members from other clubs were saying if he's trying to join anywhere down there, they would just not let him join. So the guy said, on one side of the peninsula, they were able to play, but on the, and they were, but once they got around to the other side of the peninsula, they were not allowed to play. So there was a lot of different rules for different folks and double standards everywhere. The premier himself, and it's similar to the U.S., where, was it Nancy Pelosi said, you can't go and get a haircut, and then there's video of her going out to get a haircut or whatever. Same kind of thing. So Dan Andrews' friend who is a property baron, supported Dan Andrews and said that he hit out on the small-minded attitude of members. I can't believe how small-minded people can be, Mr. Beck said. So this is the Portsea Golf Club. And the guys, Dan Andrews' friend says, it's all about a bloke who wants to play golf and enjoy the rest of his life. It's ridiculous. He worked his guts out for the state with his beliefs. And then someone asked him if Dan Andrews had been demonized, and Beck said, oh, 100%. He's a very nice person. A straight shooter and a very good golfer. He's got a handicap of under 10. Oh, he's got a handicap for sure. He's very pleasant to play with. His friend says, what does his political alliance have to do with golf? This guy is so out of touch. You lock down all your citizens and you expect them to just let you in, you know, that they wouldn't have any animosity towards you. Like, it was so brutal towards people. So one of the residents of the peninsula said to News Corp that Dan is a toxic and controversial figure down here. And apparently, well, back in 2021 during the lockdown stuff, he was holidaying in Sorrento, and he actually fell down some stairs, and he's been in that area quite a few times. So I thought that was really funny because it was like he's getting what he deserves. So I had another article here where this is like a week later. More than 100 members are against Dan Andrews joining in the National Golf Club Members Association. So he was apparently rejected from another venue. Even though the club said that letter that they sent rejecting him doesn't align with their values or whatever, but I think a lot of the writing was from the members, not necessarily the golf club. Hey, Toxic, good to see you. Thanks, Incoherent Turd and Toxic, for joining. Yeah, so they basically, members of that National Golf Club in the Mornington Peninsula sent out a letter outlining their stance against Dan Andrews joining their golf club. He's particularly unpopular among the golfing community there because of his strict COVID-19 rules and how they banned the sport during the pandemic. So you don't get between the golfers and their golf, right? And don't try to play with them afterwards after you did that. That's just messed up. So I thought this next section was really funny. Basically, after they said, the club president said that the ex-premier didn't file an official application yet. And obviously they have to say that, you know, everybody's going to get consideration. But one member of the National Golf Club, they boasted about hitting a golf ball with the ex-premier's face on it. And another had their number plates customized on their BMW. F-U-D-A, F-U Dan Andrews is what it stands for. Oh, goodness. So here's the picture of that BMW. Damn, the golfers are salty. Oh, yeah, Toxic, I'm in that Discord, don't worry. Sorry, I'm just reading the chat. Yes, I am in that Discord. They're a very funny bunch of people. I like being in that group. Their memes are top notch. Okay, so I have a video here. Hopefully it doesn't get copyright stricken, but this is from Sky News, and I won't play the full video, but I'll just play the short clip that I thought was funny. So I'm just gonna make sure.
Are you still feeling the effects of the COVID lockdowns?
I think everyone is, to be honest. It was just a shambles, the whole thing. So, yeah, no, I wouldn't play golf with him, no.
So you wouldn't want to play golf with him?
I wouldn't want to play golf with him, no.
It was the only place in the world, really, wasn't it, where you weren't allowed to play golf. Everywhere else in the world, you're allowed to play golf. They were right. the Mornington Peninsula were locked indoors. So, yeah, a lot of people still harbour feelings that that was the wrong thing. They don't want a situation at golf clubs where if you put your name down on the timesheet that nobody wants to play with you. That's the real issue, and that's the sort of thing that rips golf clubs apart.
I can give the President a message tonight. Most of the members of his golf club would not want Dan Andrews as a member. Yep. If Dan Andrews is allowed to join the Portsea Golf Club, I'll quit, I'll resign, I'll tear up my membership, and I'll go and play golf somewhere.
Dude, this guy's like...
Now, let me give you a little more.
Yeah, so I thought that was funny. It's just such a funny story. Like, it's a comeuppance, you know? He's getting what he deserves. Yeah, I just thought, like, the reactions of the people where he's like, I'm gonna rip up my golf membership. And yeah, like, the guy had car plates saying F you Dan Andrews. I think it's hilarious. Deserved. So it's kind of like white pilling to see, you know, people who completely wrecked their own citizens get, you know, a taste of their own medicine. You know, you locked out people for months and months, and now you're locked out of the golf clubs and nobody wants to play golf with you. Like how, you know, another article was talking about how with golf, I don't play golf, but with golf clubs, you have to sign up, you know, to register to play, and you need a group of players to play with usually. And if you do a competition, for example, that the clubs run, you need to have people who are willing to play with you. But if you sign up and no one wants to play with you, you're not going to have a game. Like, the club is not going to be able to host anything. So they have to kind of gatekeep their members a little bit, which I understand. But yeah, I just thought that was really funny. And I've got another good clip. So toxic. Surrounded by golf courses. You get hit in the head with flying golf balls much? I used to live near one, and I would get free golf balls in the backyard sometimes. Yeah, so I've got there's two videos I want to show. It's of the state premiers during the COVID lockdown times. So one of them was New South Wales, whose premier was Gladys, and it's related to the Dan Andrews clip that I'll show after. So this is all related, just give me a second. Gladys in New South Wales was also pretty bad, like, so he also had lockdowns, but it wasn't as long as Victoria was. Even though our police were kind of also brutal, they didn't roll out armored vehicles, that like the Victorian police did, but the police here did similar, like, kettling kind of tactics and getting horses to, you know, surround peaceful protesters and stuff like that. Anyways, so this clip here is Gladys, and I love this channel. It's called Remix Matrix. You guys gotta sub to them. They're so funny.
I'm a bit tired of hearing people saying I don't know how to do my job properly, and I think that's really mean. I remember being criticised. Just remind everybody how criticised I was. That's not acceptable. I hope everybody likes staying at home, because we are going to go into lockdown forever. Nobody from New South Wales is going anywhere. We will have 2 million police officers standing at the corner of every street to monitor every single citizen. We're really watching very closely. I hope this really will be devastating. We don't like to be heavy-handed, but what we need to say today now is that if you leave home, we will give you a death sentence. Please know that you will be shot.
Yeah, essentially, please.
In the face, and I hope it's painful. You are required to obey that. In the face, you will be shot. A death sentence. Please know that you will be shot in the face, and I hope it's painful. You are required to obey what we say when we say it, and if you don't, you can prepare to die. I've said from the outset, I don't care about your life and the life of those around you. I don't really give a shit. The government is now about to announce what we call the final solution. We are inspired by history and realise we can very easily permanently get rid of anybody thinking illegal thoughts. We aim to have absolutely zero freedom. Follow the rules, or else you'll never be seen again. If you think you can live freely under our very strict and harsh regime, I have news for you. If you even consider breaking the rules, I will personally stab you in the head and rip your guts out. We have 24 hours surveillance of every single person in the community. We want to cause anguish, hurt and suffering to as many citizens as possible. Every day at 11 o'clock, every citizen in this state must listen to me. This is the Fourth Reich, and I will make sure that I never, ever, ever give up power till the day I die.
Thumbnail for this video is oh sorry, there was an echo I think with the audio, sorry about that, I forgot to switch off one of the channels. Yeah, the thumbnail for this video is her, it's Adolf Hitler, she's photoshopped just as Hitler and she's got like a little mustache. It's so funny. I love this edit. Yes, I agree, Incoherent Turret. Dude, you sent $1. That's my first super chat. Thank you. I will aim to have like a little super chat thing pop up if I use like StreamYard, but I haven't figured out what software I'm using. Thank you, Incoherent Turret. I will read it out. Incoherent Turret sent $1 for my first super chat, and he said, "Government ASL interpreters are the most useless job ever." I completely agree, especially when you see those people memeing and pretending to be ASL interpreters and they're just doing nonsense and everybody just goes along with it. It's so funny. Okay, I've got another clip here. That's Dan Andrews has a broken heart. So this is related to Gladys.
Everybody right to go? Thanks for joining us for the daily update. First things first, some of you may know that I've been in an intimate relationship with Gladys for some time. I'm saddened to have to update you that I had some text exchange with Gladys this morning, and it was very clear between her and I that the relationship that we previously had is gone. I still love you, Gladys. I can't stand here and pretend that it's over because I desperately, desperately want her. But surely I deserve better than this. Having come this far, having built this thing that is so precious but fragile, you can't just, we can't just stop. We can't give up. I don't like.
Remix Matrix has done the impossible of making Dan Andrews actually a pitiable character. Nobody pities this guy, but this video is so sad.
Like rejection. I don't like loneliness and that sense of isolation. Please, let's just fix it. Let's just fix it. I am very, very, very sad because I live in Melbourne and she doesn't. And if she's watching this, I just like to say, Gladys, I wish I could touch you and be with you forever. Why would she leave me? Is there another man? No, it's my fault. Why would anyone want to spend time with me? I am not fun. I'm very boring. I'm just a big stupid nobody. I don't have any friends. I'm so alone. Now I know how Daryl McGuire feels. Come on, Dan. Suck it up, bitch. You can do better than Gladys. I will see you tomorrow.
Someone else. Yeah, here. There's the Gladys thumbnail. Oh, so funny. I love those videos. They're so funny. They came out like 2 years ago, but I saved it, but I just didn't have anywhere to show it. I just thought they were hilarious. Yeah, dude. For some reason, when Dan Andrews used to give press conferences, his like eyes would look very watery or like very red, and like he almost looked like he was crying or about to cry. I'm like, dude, has this guy been doing too many drugs? Like, what the hell's going on? Anyways, I thought that was really funny. I love those clips. Go follow Remix Matrix on YouTube. They're just top-notch editing. I love it. And yes, like Incoherent Turret said in the Rumble chat, better than Twilight. 10 out of 10. Never watch Twilight, boys. It's a waste of your time. Okay, I'm gonna get some more Instagram memes. We've laughed a lot already because those videos are so funny. I've got more Instagram memes as a in between our stories. I was gonna stream on YouTube and use it as a break and then push people to move to Rumble, but I got trolled by my streaming software I was testing, and it wouldn't let me stream to Rumble, which is retarded. It lets you stream to like Kick and all those weird other places, but not Rumble, you know, because we must be far right. Okay, I need to find this David Beckham clip. Let me see. It's somewhere here. Sorry, it's been a while since I went through my Instagram, my saved Instagram clips. So I need to find it again. Oh, what the? Where did it go? Ah, I've got it. Okay. Let me just make sure they're right. Yep, there we go.
We're very working class.
Be honest.
I am being honest. I am being honest.
What car did your dad drive you to school in?
So my dad did.
No, one answer.
My dad.
What car was it?
Alright, it's not a simple answer
what
because.
What did you get your dad to drive?
It depends.
No.
Okay,
What
in the
car?
80s, my dad had a Rolls Royce. Very working class.
Be honest.
I am being honest. I am being
honest. What car
honest.
did your dad drive you to school in?
So my dad did.
No, one answer.
My dad.
What car was it?
Alright, it's not a simple answer
what
because.
What did you get your dad to drive?
It depends.
No.
Okay,
What
in the
car?
80s, my dad had a Rolls Royce.
Thank you.
Very working class.
Be honest.
I am being.
I just thought that was so funny. I'm like, yes, David Beckham, you keep your wife in check. Don't let her spread lies that she was working class. Her dad freaking drove her to school in a Rolls Royce. Working class my ass. I thought that was great because I'm like, yes, keeping them honest. And yes, Toxic, I agree. I do need that Rumble multi-stream thing. Ah, so it's an exclusive thing. Do you have it, Toxic? I wonder. Toxic was saying there's a Rumble thing in like beta testing or something that's for multi-streaming. Yes, that would be awesome. I wish Rumble was easier to stream on actually, because they're a little bit more janky than other streaming platforms. And yeah, they've got sometimes issues with uploading as well, so it took me a while to get through some of the technical difficulties today. Anyways, alright, so the next clip I have, if you're squeamish, don't watch it. Let me see if I can find it. Where did it go? It's not that one. Ah, yep. If you're squeamish, look away.
The shit you see out of state, a dead raccoon, and somebody that put a motherfucking get well balloon on this dead motherfucker. What the shit you see out of state, a dead raccoon, and somebody that put a motherfucking get well balloon on this dead motherfucker. What the?
Oh gosh. Poor raccoon, man. Poor raccoon. Oh, wait, did the audio come through? My bad. I am a boomer with streaming tech, I agree. Oh, yes, and I agree. David Beckham is, yeah, a lot of respect for doing that. Yeah, I thought that raccoon clip, oh man, I like raccoons, and so does my husband, but man, rest in peace, that raccoon got wrecked. Alright, and then I've got, Get well, Cooney. Poor raccoon. And the next clip I have, I've called it a weaponized autist comedian. So you guys will probably like this because you guys are all autistic in the chat.
I'm a straight man, but of course I'm a big supporter of the trans community, right? No, hang on. Oh, of the trans community, I think. No, but that's all a joke. Of course, I am a big supporter of the LGBT community. That's light rails, gondolas, buses, and trains. No, seriously though, I am gay. As in happy when I see a tram. I'm a straight man, but of course I'm a big supporter of the trans community, right? No, hang on.
So good.
Oh, of the trans community, I think.
Oh, I love that song. If only it wasn't copyrighted. Yes, that was a good laugh. I liked a bunch of those memes. You know, they were so good. That guy with the raccoon still living in my head rent free. Speaking of rent, I've got some stories here I wanted to talk about. Let me see if I can get this up. Yeah, so our next story is, I wanted to discuss some thoughts I was having about boomers, and I heard, I read some stuff on Twitter that people were saying about boomers, and what was his name? I think it was like Ed Weinstein or something from the Dark Horse podcast. Someone was mentioning him and what his opinion on the boomers were, which I thought was interesting. And before we go into the whole boomer generation, let's look at, for example, let's look at the Australian housing market and what it is in reality right now. So I've got this graph here that says Sydney's increase in median asking rents over time. So you can see, hopefully you can see, it goes a little janky when I try to zoom in. This is 2016 down here, 2018 and 2020. So this is just rents, by the way. This isn't housing prices. Rents went down here, but for housing prices during 2020 and 2021, they actually skyrocketed. They went crazy. Houses and stuff, some of the rural areas as well, I think because some people were moving away from the city, almost doubled in price just in that period. But this is just rents. So the light green on top is the house rent prices, and the dark green is units. So this is 500 here at this start here. It's 500 per week, by the way. This is calculated per week. So 500 Australian dollars per week in rent. This is for Sydney, for a unit or an apartment. And for a house, it was about close to 520. And now it's 2023, and it's gone up to $720 a week in rent for a house. And for a unit, not much better, is $680. And this is according to Domain Rent Report. Domain is a very big, I don't know if US has it, but they're a big real estate website. So if looking for a property and stuff, they have a lot of data. And I got for example, one of their rental reports here. So this is the rental report for 2023. So Sydney's median rent, houses 720 and units 680. So there's, this is a quarter on quarter change in percentage. Let me see if I can zoom in a little bit more. Yeah, so you can see it says, yeah, okay, that's better. Sydney is the most expensive city in Australia to rent a house and a unit. The rents for a third consecutive quarter hit a record high of $720 a week. So you got to times that by 4, right, if you want to calculate it monthly. Despite the continual rise, the pace of rental growth halved compared to the previous quarter. Annual rent hikes also lost momentum, signaling the peak growth rate has passed, but I doubt it. This marks the longest stretch of annual increases on record, rising for just over 3 years. So basically when the lockdowns happened, and everything got shut down, it just exploded. It was crazy. Sydney units experienced a substantial deceleration of rent growth over the September quarter, only rising about 5 times slower than the previous quarter's record growth rate. So it's still, even though there's a decrease, right, deceleration, it's still overall a massive increase because of the growth rate. So the median weekly asking rent is at a record high of $680, following 9 consecutive quarters of growth, the longest stretch ever recorded for the city. That is insane. 9 consecutive quarters of growth. And it's, for the annual growth, it's the 3rd fastest increase on record at 23.6%. 23.6%, but it's slower than June's record, which is crazy. Unit rents continue to outpace houses annually in terms of the increases, but were slower over the quarter for the first time since early 2022. The price gap between the property types rose, but remains low compared to the past 3 years. And our vacancy rate in Sydney is a record low of 0.9%. So good luck trying to find a rental place. It is crazy. I'm reading the super chat at the moment. I'm sorry, the chats at the moment. I don't know how anyone does it either in Coherent Turd. Like, how do you even live in Sydney as let's say you're an average worker, right? A median income worker. Because there's such a big range as well in Sydney, like some people are earning maybe like 50K, 60K in like retail jobs. And, some people earn, like 300K, right? There's a big disparity and a big range of wages. But people here, on average, like if you just work a normal job and you're not super rich, you can't afford to live in Sydney. There's just no way you could afford even just like to own a 1-bedroom apartment. You'd have to be in so much debt. And I honestly, I've been very concerned about for a couple of years, like how are normal people, like your hairdresser or your salesperson or your, wait staff, for example, how are they even gonna survive here? You can barely even afford an apartment, or they can't really afford an apartment because they have to borrow, so much money from the banks. They're in debt, like huge debt. And they'll never be able to really pay it off, until they die, basically. So it's quite concerning to see, like, even during the lockdowns when we had, a massive dip in immigration because, they locked people out. And even then, the housing prices, not the rent rates, but the housing prices skyrocketed then. How is that even, like, possible, right? Logically, it wouldn't make sense unless there's something meddling with the housing market and propping it up, which I think it is for sure. Like, for example, stamp duty is a huge tax here when you transfer property. It's ridiculous. And toxic, no, I don't know who this person is. I have no idea. I am out of the loop. Sorry. So I wanted to show this really, I guess, sad, but also very truthful. I think it's true, because I can relate to how this person is feeling. They apparently posted it on Oz Finance, the Reddit thread, and someone on Twitter reposted it. They're talking about how members of the Society of Millennials. My computer has the thing where it changes millennials to like serpents or snake people. Serpents as Gen Z, and how they're not able to afford life basically if they're less educated and lower relative pay parents had. So they wrote this. Let's see, will it let me zoom in more? Nope, not really. Okay. I'll just read it out. So this person wrote here, they titled it, "I genuinely feel like our future was sold, and I want to just give up. I'm a 31-year-old Sparky." Sparky is electrician, is Australian for electrician, because we like to shorten everything. 31-year-old Sparky, and I would consider myself a pretty simple man. I want to just have a family home, raise some Rugrats kids, work till I'm 60, and hopefully see through a retirement. I have no vices, I don't drink, don't smoke, don't gamble, and don't have any expensive hobbies. Despite all of this, the basics of life have become so expensive to the point that I don't think I'll genuinely ever own a home. The clock's ticking, and I'll never be able to have kids because of a lack of financial security due to housing. I just don't understand how our society ended up like this. Some of the older Sparkies, the older electricians in his crew of about 50 plus colleagues, have multiple houses. They spend and drink like drunken sailors and have a more spendy lifestyle. For the exact same job, they live like kings, while I'm stuck forever as a pauper. It feels to me what I imagined feudalism was like, and I'm just a serf. This whole situation is rotten to the core. I just want to live a simple life and be a good dad, but I feel I was robbed of the opportunity because of greed and speculation. It feels like the only way to make it in my generation is if you have wealthy parents or earn money that most of us will never see. How did we, as a society, make it so essential workers can't afford the simple things in life like housing? Not all of us can be lawyers or doctors. Society couldn't function that way. And I'm sure we need Sparkies around. It certainly feels like a lucky country for some, but not all of us. Yes, this is really sad to hear, and like I completely empathize with what this guy's saying, because that's how I feel as well. Like, you know, I've got one of my friends told me, like, their friends, they earn dual income. Okay, so the wife and the husband both working, they earn like 300K total income per year. Annual income per year, or a bit more than that. And they were only able to afford a duplex in Sydney, I think, out west, which is cheaper than inner city. Dude, earning 300K and you can only afford half a house? That's insane. It's so backwards, right? And when at the end of this writing, when he says the lucky country, it feels like a lucky country for some, but not all of us. Lucky country is like a very Australian thing that they like to call Australia the lucky country. And I think it's a bit ironic because when I moved here, I felt very, grateful, and I was like, oh, freedom, like I can have freedom to speak, but not really. And I thought, yeah, like, it's a Western country, we have more opportunities. If you want to make it, you just work hard and you can make it, right? Like all the, typical idealistic dreams that a lot of migrants or immigrants think. And over the, many years, I was like, man, Australians are getting ripped off like crazy. Like the housing is expensive. When my dad told me, how much his property was, I was like, Dad, you got ripped off. Like, you could pay the same amount in the U.S. and live in a mansion, like a king. And, our purchasing power here is so messed up. Like, even though it sounds like we earn a lot, like 60K or, whatever, you can't buy much with 60K here. That's the main problem. It's kind of like, like when Zimbabwe has, humongous inflation, you can say you're a gazillionaire, right? 26 gorillionaire. And a loaf of bread would be like $1 million, right? It doesn't matter how much your number sounds like you make or like you're a millionaire. It's how much your money, how far your dollar can actually go, right? So when I came here, I was like, man, people are paying so much money for really basic things like fruit and veg, and it's so expensive. Shoes that are crap quality anyways, it's like $100, $200. Not worth it, man. It's not worth it. Yeah, so I really liked what that guy wrote because, yeah, it does feel like if you don't have parents to help you out financially, which a lot of people don't, right? How are you even going to be able to own your own house? How are you going to have kids? Like, I'm still trying to find a place to live or to buy, so that we're not stuck renting and at the mercy of our landlords. But like, I'm even more concerned for people, for one of my friends who works retail. I don't know how they're ever gonna have kids. How do you have kids in a 1-bedroom apartment that you can't afford? So I saw this image on Twitter that I really liked. So it's a great illustration. That's why I put it on the thumbnail. Baby boomers in this big house. And then Gen X, this tiny, like 1-bedroom house. And then Gen Y is just in a tent. I was like, so accurate. So accurate. It's crazy. So, so I've got another post here, for example, on Twitter from this account called Discernible. Discernible did a lot of good like lockdown coverage and discussion and stuff, so I've been following them for a while. And they host guests and stuff and interviews, and I think they interviewed some Victorian police officers, for example. I'm pretty sure it was them. Yeah, so they said, let me zoom in so you guys can see it more clearly. They said, I'm sad for the many responsible boomers reading this, but unfortunately, I do see how most of the boomer cohort, especially the elite, have shown a reckless disregard for future generations. Eric Weinstein believes that the boomer generation, of which he is part, is the most selfish generation and the first to sell their offsprings tomorrow for the comfort of their own today. Right? And he was referencing this post by Rational Aussie. Rational Aussie was responding to this Q&A video where a question was posed by the audience. So Q&A is like this big question and answer show on ABC. ABC is, funded by the government, so it's kind of like the BBC. And this school kid asked, will younger people have the same quality of life as previous generations? And all the people on the board, I don't want to play it because I don't like ABC. All the people on that panel were like giving such non-answers, just really like dodging the question, making unrelated things, saying unrelated things, just like very unhelpful and not answering this girl's question. So Rational Aussie responded and said, none of these people have a spine. The economy is effed because they exploited it, with their self-serving policies that pump their investments at the expense of their own children and grandchildren. They don't even have the balls to look the student in the face and tell her the truth, that they stole from her generation to fund their own retirement. As long as the boomers are set, that's all that matters though, right? Absolutely zero concern for passing on the flame. They have no actual concern for the environment either. They just give it lip service because they know it's an issue they can talk about to make themselves look good without having to do anything. And that's the art of the scam for them. All talk, no action, a generation of fakers. Fake money, fake house prices, fake economy, fake values. So I'm like, yeah, it's a dark take, but is he wrong? I find it hard to disagree with what he said, right? Like, if you keep you know, focusing on how much money you're going to make with your property. Like, I get that you want to sell something at a profit. No, you know, reasonable person investing their money is wanting to sell at a loss, right? But do you have to try to maximize your profits at, you know, as much as possible at the expense of your whole society and your future kids? If you keep selling these houses that are not worth like $1 million, $2 million, right? They're crap. If you look at some of the quality of the properties on the market and how much they're selling for, utter crap. You go over to the US, you can get a way nicer house for the same price and a way bigger piece of land. So how are you going to sell a house that's not worth $1 million for $2 million, right? It will come at a cost to the people who are in the market, to the future, right? You keep inflating these prices and you're basically ripping people off, right? I get you want to make money, but you're ripping people off. It's the way that they're going about it is unethical. Like, if you make a small margin of profit, fair enough, understand, but you have to do it within reason, right? You know, this is a reason why there's so much anger from the younger people to the boomers, because of this attitude where the Zoomers and stuff and the you know, younger millennials are feeling the effects of all of this inflation and speculation. We're paying the price, right? Because we can't afford anything anymore, and we can't even have our own family. And like Incoherent Turd saying, he's struggling to avoid that tent in the photo. Yeah, me too. So like there's a reason why there's so much animosity again between the boomers and the zoomers. Like, the zoomers are feeling the pain of it, of what the boomers have done. A whole culture and society speculating and increasing and inflating all these housing prices and selling it, ripping, you know, each other off, right? It's kind of like how China's real estate went down the drain. They were paying all this money for these completely garbagely constructed apartments that collapsed within a year or two, right? Just because you can do it doesn't mean you should. And people don't like real estate agents either, because you're just like a dodgy car salesman. You're selling people a crap product for a really high price, and they have to pay the price for it afterwards, right? So I thought, you know, maybe, I don't know. Chat, what do you think? Do you think boomers are a selfish generation? Because I'm kind of leaning towards yes. I think they're also very tone deaf and very blind to what they've contributed to, you know, like what their actions have done to create this kind of market where everybody's just trying to get ahead with real estate instead of investing in, for example, manufacturing or making a business, right? We just get taxed to death here, so I can see why business might not be that profitable, because there's just too much government interference. But yeah, when I see some of the boomer responses to the younger people, it makes me really sad, because they're just getting pit against each other, and the attitude of the boomers is like, oh, you just need to work harder. Oh, you're not working hard enough. Oh, you know, back in my day, I saved up, you know, and I was able to do it. You just need to, you know, tighten your bootstraps or whatever, and stop eating avocado on toast, you know. And then they say that kind of like nonsense, and it doesn't help, you know, like it doesn't change people's minds. It's not true. Like, I don't live extravagantly. I don't really, you know, like spend that much in terms of like material things. Lately I did go on a shopping spree, though, I will admit that, but it's very rare for me to do that. I don't have a habit of doing so. I don't go to the club. I don't, you know, I don't spend excessively. I don't try to buy the most expensive things. I, you know, try to keep my old iPhone working as long as possible. Like, I don't like to switch things out unless they're broken. Usually use them till the end of their life. I've been trying to, you know, like, I donate my clothes and stuff, and I want to make my own clothes in the future. And I see a lot of younger friends who, they don't live extravagantly. They're quite, wary of spending money. And to be told that, oh, you're just not working hard enough. Work 2 jobs, work 3 jobs, never see your family, don't have a social life, basically. Like, even if you work 2 jobs, I don't think you can afford to pay for a house like in Sydney. Like, it's not possible unless you're in a very specific kind of job and you get paid buttloads. The average person, it's out of reach for them. So for them to have that kind of attitude just makes the Zoomers and the millennials like more angry at them. Do you know what I mean? Like, you end up pissing off the younger generation because you're so out of touch. You're so removed from the consequences of your own financial behavior and the price that people have had to pay for that kind of generational actions. And I don't want to be like pitting people, boomers against zoomers. I don't like that. I don't like putting all the blame on the boomers either, because a lot of it is government policy, like stamp duty, the high taxes, like everything just goes up. High immigration, for example, like, Australia's took in like 600,000 people last year, and percentage of population wise, that is a lot of people for Australia. So it's government policy plus the boomer generation's attitudes that are like really making it really difficult. It's pissing a lot of people off. Like, I read all these people on Twitter and they're really angry, and I understand why, because it's very frustrating when you have valid concerns and valid points, and you just want to have a normal life. That Oz finance guy was just yearning to have a simple life, have a house, have a family, and he's got a decent job. He's an electrician, right? It's a useful skill. He's not some like weirdo academic. So I think it's really sad that people feel like they have to let go of those simple dreams that should be achievable for anybody. To own a house should be achievable. I don't think we should. I'm not, obviously not a communist. I'm not gonna say like you gotta like take back the properties from these boomers or whatever by force and like redistribute it. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying we shouldn't be so greedy with how much we make from real estate. Like, it's caused a lot of problems, and you just keep speculating, thinking the bubble will never burst. That's how everybody thinks before the bubble bursts. So rant over. Sorry, that wasn't very long. I thought this article here was very funny. So the RBA is the Reserve Bank of Australia. They have a new governor. So the previous governor people didn't like because he kept raising interest rates. And they're like, oh, we'll get a new governor and, maybe they won't do the same thing, but they'll obviously do the same thing. Their name is Michelle Bullock. And I say they because I don't think it's a she. So she suggested that inflation was homegrown, and it was caused by Australians going for haircuts and dentist visits. Okay, I'll zoom in a bit more. So they were hinting that they were going to increase rates again to tackle homegrown inflation. The central banker said on Wednesday that domestic factors were the dominant driver of the cost of living crisis. It's not the high immigration rate increasing, demand on really, really pushing things to the brink, right? It's domestic factors. And then people were like laughing and angry, obviously on social media. And someone said, just read that the RBA governor is lashing out at people for having dental treatments and haircuts. Damn, guilty as charged. I go to the dentist every year and had to have an extra minor procedure this year and plan on getting a haircut this week. Damn. Someone else said, bald people to lead the fight against inflation. Oh, man. And this person who wants you to not get a haircut or visit the dentist as often looks like this. Their name is Michelle, might as well be Michelle Obama. Woof. Look, I don't normally make fun of people's looks, but that's not a woman, okay? That's a dude in with long hair, and clearly they get a haircut. So I think it's kind of ironic. So many on social media noted that large corporations, including big banks and supermarkets, were raking in billions of dollars in profits. So during like the lockdowns, these big companies took stimulus checks, right? And then now they're making like $2 billion something in profit in the last year, and they don't pay those stimulus checks back. And other people were saying that the immigration intake was a driving factor. So they were saying mass immigration boosts aggregate demand. Without the ability to service it means inflation. And people like to blame Labour for it, but Labour and Liberal Party both did it. You know, they both added to the problem. Liberal government during the lockdowns, they printed those COVID stimulus checks. Incoherent Tarzan. That's a man, baby. From Austin Powers, yeah. Yeah, I agree. Going to the dentist, so selfish. Crazy. So people were roasting her and saying that she's very tone deaf and out of touch. And the previous guy, Philip Lowe, was also out of touch as well, because he himself suggested that Aussies simply work more and spend less. So like the typical boomer kind of response. So people were saying that Michelle Bullock is trying to beat Philip Lowe in being the most unpopular. And basically they're saying they're going to need to increase the interest rates so that they can bring down inflation. Let me see if I can find that exact quote. Yeah, there. Hairdressers and dentists, Michelle Bullock said, dining out, sporting, and other recreational activities. The prices of all these services are rising strongly. This reflects domestic economic conditions and is an indication that aggregate demand is sufficiently greater than aggregate supply to sustain these price increases. The cost of these services are typically driven by the price of domestic inputs. Oh. Hey. It's 2 protects 1. He's in the chat. I get really thrown off when your Rumble name's different, by the way. Yeah, so she's just blaming Australians. It's really insane. I think it's really, like, I get why she does it, because, you know, she is a central banker. But it's just super dodgy. Like, you're just rubbing salt in the wound. People are really struggling here, and you're saying that, oh, they're spending too much, when the government, you know, printed billions of money and they sent it overseas for Ukraine and Israel and stuff. Like, you're sending all our taxpayer money overseas and you can't help your own people. You're causing the inflation by doing that, and then you're blaming your own people. It's crazy. I think also, like, one more point that I wanted to make about the boomers, I forgot to make. Boomers and Zoomers like to complain about each other, but who will take responsibility for the way they raised their kids, right? The boomers abdicated their parental responsibilities to the government, you know, through public schools and other, you know, or other people through private schools. Who will take responsibility for the actions they committed, you know, to gain wealth by unjust means, like, you know, selling property for as much as possible instead of selling it for what it's worth, right? Like, we have to take personal responsibility for our own lives and hold ourselves accountable to what we've done. Why are you surprised that Zoomers, you know, they like to roast Zoomers and say they don't know anything, or they're really unwise and they don't know how to manage their money or whatever? Who are their parents who were supposed to teach them these things? Because they're definitely not being taught it in the schools, right? The public schools are just brainwashing your kids. You put them in those brainwashing centers. You have to take responsibility for that. Yes, of course, when the boomers become adults, the Zoomers, become adults, they also have some responsibility as well that they need to take. But a lot of it is like conditioning and, you know, what they were conditioned throughout school with, right? Yeah, I just think it's quite nuts that the boomers can be that out of touch and refuse to take responsibility for their actions. It's insane. So okay, last segment, and then we'll look at some more memes, and then we'll end the stream. I've been talking for a while, and yeah, I'll try to end in I'll try to finish this within 10 minutes. Okay, so the next story that I have, it's from Senator Rennick. And Senator Rennick is one of the only politicians who were speaking up about COVID jab injuries. And he's been such a strong advocate for people who got injured. It's been so amazing to watch. A lot of people can say, they're grifting or whatever, but this guy was doing this really early on. He wasn't doing it when everybody else started doing it. He was doing it way before, and he was getting roasted. People wanted him out of their party. They even I think they tried to take his seat or something like that out of the Liberal Party because he was part of the Liberal Party. And I've watched a few of his videos and his statements, and you can tell he did a deep dive into mRNA and the scientific nature of the vaccines and really understanding the PCR process, for example. He knows a lot, way more than the average person, let alone politicians, because politicians, lie about everything. He knows way more about that than most people. And from someone with a science background, because I did study bioscience in uni, I was so impressed. I was like, damn, this guy really did his research. He really understands what he's talking about. Anyways, so this video that I've got here, he's talking about how AHPRA, which is the health practitioners regulating Australian doctors and nurses, how they were preventing them from highlighting the risks of the jab to their patients.
Okay. Mr. Fletcher, how are you? Have you read the latest Pfizer report from October the 13th, where it outlines the risks of the COVID-19 vaccine? I'll read out. So they acknowledge the side effects of severe allergic reactions, non-severe allergic reactions, myocarditis, pericarditis, injection site pain, tiredness, headache, muscle pain, chills and joint pain. They also recommend that the doctor asks any person that wants the vaccine if they have any allergies, myocarditis, have a fever, bleeding disorder, is immunocompromised, is pregnant or breastfeeding, has received another COVID-19 vaccine or has ever fainted in association with the injection. Now, I note that your letter on the 9th of March 2021 didn't actually necessarily encourage people or doctors at the time to outline all these risks. Are you going to put out another statement where you inform doctors of all the risks as per Pfizer's latest press release?
No.
You're not?
No.
Why not?
That's not our responsibility. As we've talked extensively in previous hearings about the statement from March, essentially what that did was set out existing obligations on registered health practitioners in the context of COVID-19.
Okay, because I've been contacted by health professionals who had their licence suspended because they said the vaccine wasn't tested thoroughly. Are you familiar with the product assessment report from January 2021, whereby it said on page 31 that there was a bunch of missing information in regards to the vaccine, use in pregnancy, use in immunocompromised patients, use in frail patients with comorbidities, use in patients with autoimmune or inflammatory disorders, interaction with other vaccines, long-term safety data. So why were these people suspended for saying that the vaccines hadn't been thoroughly tested or properly tested? And we can have an argument there as to question of degree, but don't you think that it's important that you let your doctors and nurses know that they're allowed to highlight these risks? And I'll just note Professor Kelly today has said the vaccines are safe unequivocally without highlighting any risks whatsoever. Now, in any professional business, you have to outline the risks and the benefits. So are you going to let your practitioners know that they're allowed to highlight the risks without fear of suspension?
So what we've said, Senator, and I'll go back to what that statement said, was that we expected registered health practitioners to use their professional judgment and the best available evidence in how they were in their practice, and that included when providing information to patients and the public. And so, again, as we've previously talked in this committee, we, in terms of looking at that, there was always an opportunity where a concern was raised for a practitioner to tell us how they think they did that, use their judgment, use the best available evidence. Our reference points would be the guidance that was in place at the time, the public health advice, the advice from TGA, the advice from AHPRA, and then that was what was considered in terms of deciding whether any.
Yeah, so I don't want to keep watching because we're running over time a little bit. It's just a lot of non-answers, you know, like they say a lot of things and they're like, oh, they had the opportunity. You had the opportunity to get, you know, jabbed. We didn't coerce you. Like, we didn't fire any doctors, you know, for warning their patients or, you know, refusing to, you know, administer it, you know, or, you know, just being honest. A lot of doctors lost their licenses here or got threatened. Yeah, and some of them still don't have their licenses back, even though they were proven completely right. And, you know, any reasonable person would be like, this thing wasn't tested, right? For very long or very thoroughly. Why are you injecting it into people or forcing it onto people, especially pregnant women? So risky. And I got another super chat from Incoherent Turret. This guy's just throwing out money. This is why you're living in a tent. So Incoherent Turret with $5 said, thanks for sharing with us about Australia. Excellent retarded memes and stories for us most retarded people. Thank you. I couldn't see the emoji because Rumble chat doesn't show it on my screen for some reason. And yes, I agree, that guy was using very weaselly words. Thank you for the $5 super chat. You've donated like $6. This man is single-handedly funding the stream. Okay, alright, so we're gonna go through 2 memes. Oh, actually, maybe I'll just show a little bit of the jab injuries clip that I wanted to highlight. Let me just refresh my Instagram because it's not loading. Okay. So, Jab Injuries Australia, you know, covers a lot of Australian injuries, and they did like a quick compilation. We don't have to watch the full thing, but I think that anybody who is like super pro jab should watch these videos because they don't seem to care about the vaccine injury. It's all like the unvaccinated people who care about the vaccine injury, which is really ironic. Yeah, I think it's definitely worth checking out that page, but bring tissues because you will probably cry. Lol, incoherent turd. Your super chat budget. Oh dear. Okay, so we're gonna end the show with 2 funny memes. I like this one because this is an Indian guy in this meme. If you could only have one meal for the rest of your life, what would it be? Was the interviewer's question. This freaking guy. Oh man.
If you could have one meal for the rest of your life, what meal would it be?
Chicken biryani.
Chicken what?
This is Indian food, chicken biryani.
For breakfast, lunch, dinner?
This is lunch and dinner.
But you have to have this only one meal for the rest of your life?
No.
Not this one?
Not this one.
Which one?
Many.
No, the question is you can only have one.
For whole life?
Yes.
Chicken biryani.
If you could have one meal for the rest of your life, what meal would it be?
Chicken biryani.
Chicken what?
This is Indian food, chicken biryani.
For breakfast, lunch, dinner?
This is lunch and dinner.
But you have to have this only one meal for the rest of your life?
No.
Not this one?
Not this one.
Which one?
Many.
No, the question is you can only have one.
For whole life?
Yes.
Chicken biryani.
If you could have one meal for the rest of your life?
Gosh. So funny. Just like chicken biryani. Goes, no. Just humor. Yeah, he washes his hands in his chicken biryani, I bet you. That's why it tastes so delicious, right? The dirtier it is, the more delicious it is, or something like that. Oh dear. Okay. So the turtle from Nemo gets a fright, is this meme.
What is that little thing that you're holding on to, little dude? What is this? Here, can you hold that up so I can see it? It's a Gotcha. Loud and clear, dude. Dude, I got one of those too. Dude, you want to see mine? Okay, cool. I saw it. It was floating on the surface. I didn't know what it was. Check mine out, dude. I wondered what his name was, and now I know. His name is... What is that little thing that you're holding on to, little dude? What is this? Here, can you hold that up so I can see it?
So good. Love it. Yeah, I thought that was funny. I love how they do that show. It's quite amazing, the technology, you know, that they can use. Crazy. It's awesome. If I was a kid, I'd have so much fun going into something like that. Incoherent turd. This is how all my conversations with Indian people go. Oh, it just goes in circles. Okay. Yeah, fair enough. Oh man. All right. Well, I'm gonna end the stream now because we've been streaming for a while. But I really appreciate you guys hanging out in the chat, and thank you for the super chats. You guys are amazing. Thank you, Incoherent Turret, Toxic Voxic, and 2 Protects 1. I think that was everyone in the chat, right? Yeah. Thank you guys. I'll see you next week. I still haven't figured out if I'm streaming on my Monday and Thursday or your Sunday and Wednesday. But I will update on Twitter, so follow me there. If there's any changes, I normally tweet it there. Cool. Thanks for putting up with all the technical issues. Bye.